associated with ISF or India SME Forums in the last 5 years and helped to reach out to market in a much more better way, helped to even reorganize the way we do business. So we were one of the companies where in the HR and compliance space where we were invited, and the entire amount was paid by the government. So that was a wonderful thing, and the whole experience was very, very good. The entire team is fantastic. They're always available for helping you out. They just a WhatsApp message away or a call away. And personally, I have never found an issue in reaching out to them. And at the same time, once we are engaged, a lot of opportunities has come my way. So I think anyone who's joining India SME Forum needs to keep, if they are very much interested to expand their business, they're very much interested how to expand the business, how to get money, how to get business planning, how to do the sales planning. I think India SME Forum really does well.
I'm associated with India SME Forum and my experience with them is incredible. The whole team is working 24/7 dedicatedly to help entrepreneurs in the country, especially the women entrepreneurs who belong from underprivileged sections, who is having language barriers, who doesn't have the ease of access to avail benefits and opportunities which government is providing. For entrepreneurs like us, those who are working on small scale, for which it is very difficult for us to understand the guidelines given by government, so that we can work wholeheartedly, we can have ease of access, we can have ease to finances, we can have ease to opportunities.
We got associated with India SME Forum in 2013. We got exposed to a lot of new business opportunities and as well as international opportunities. And the end-to-end experience has been phenomenal through India SME Forum. They have been a great host and working towards common goals of betterment of SMEs in India.
Thank you SME for sponsoring my Las Vegas trip, which proved to be a very productive, profitable and encouraged trip.
My career got a boom when I connected myself with SME Forum. Here, they made me aware of GEM and also told me about the various schemes given by the Ministry of MSME to all the women entrepreneurs. Not only this, they also enlightened me to market my product in a different way, giving it a new dimension. Thank you SME Forum for all your support and guidance. Much appreciated.
India Small and Medium Enterprises Forum had given me an opportunity to showcase Northeast India's handmade product internationally by sponsoring my visit. The networking opportunities were very helpful, connecting me with different business people and also to understand the international market. Right now we are in the process of developing a self-sustaining village model in Manipur, including a project to extract essential oil and to cultivate aromatic plants.
India SME Forum has helped me to participate in international market and explore business opportunities. And even it's helped me to claim the cost of the education from the Ministry of MSME. ISF के जरिए मैंने पहली बार ग्लोबल मार्केट को समझा और उसमें काम करने के सर्विस स्टैंडर्ड को जाना.
We are from biotech healthcare industry. Genetics has been part of the India SME Forum for the last 6-7 years. It has brought us a lot of value and learning, and as a small industry benefits from part of this forum. I know as well as coming from the Government of India.
India SME Forum has given me a big platform, and it is because of the opportunity I could come into contact of a bigger network, which is proving me very much helpful for my business. I look forward for the same support and opportunities ahead from India SME Forum.
हम लोग मैन्युफैक्चरर्स एंड एक्सपोर्टर्स हैं फ्लोर मिल्स एंड फूड प्रोसेसिंग मशीन्स के, और मुझे ISF के यूरोपियन कांग्रेस में जाने का सौभाग्य प्राप्त हुआ, जो कि पोलैंड में आयोजित हुआ था. इसमें जहाँ हमको बिजनेस की अपॉर्चुनिटी मिली, वहीं पर बहुत से लोगों से मिलने का सौभाग्य प्राप्त हुआ। एंड ये एक बेहतरीन अवसर था हमारे लिए अपने बिजनेस को यूरोप में बढ़ाने के लिए, और इसके लिए मैं आईएसएफ और एमएसएमई मिनिस्ट्री एंड डिपार्टमेंट दोनों का धन्यवाद देता हूँ।
A very good afternoon and a very warm welcome to the new episode of Enterprise Matters, India SME Forum's very own virtual show, wherein we bring to you deliberations and discussions on burning issues for MSMEs. We bring to you discussion with policymakers. We bring to you successful stories of existing MSMEs, which are role models. And in today's episode, we have one such very successful direct to consumer business, and how this business was set up, and in 3 years time how this business brought in an investment of 100 crores is what is being featured in today's episode. So I am your host Sushma Morthania, Director General, India SME Forum, shortly introducing the successful duo and a very successful business in our for an upcoming section of Fireside Chat very soon shortly. In today's section of Fireside Chat, we meet a very successful duo from this company called Dr. Vaidya's, the New Age Ayurveda. We've heard about Dr. Vaidya's company. It aims to take the traditional science of Ayurveda to the 21st century by using innovative packaging, branding, and new formats of products. It is India's largest Ayurveda brand online and was recently the first Ayurvedic brand to be featured in the Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia list for 2019 and BW 40 Under 40 list. In 2020, Dr. Vaidya's also won a Youth Small and Medium Business of the Year from Amazon and a Retail Startup Award from the Retailers Association of India. In June 2019, Dr. Vaidya partnered with the USD RP Sanjeev Goenka Group and has now been acquired by the group, making it India's first successful direct to consumer exits. And it's a privilege to introduce a very, very dynamic and a very young enterprising duo, Mr. Arjun Vaidya and Ms. Trisha Rajnivedya. Welcome to you on our show Enterprise Matters. Allow me to read a brief profile of both of them before we start, a conversation with them. Um, Arjun, prior to his entrepreneurial stint, he graduated from Brown University, USA, and with a BA honors in international relations and economics. He then worked in private equity at a consumer sector focused fund, L Capital Asia. It's an equity arm of Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy Group, where he focused specifically on consumer brands and consumer technology. In October 2016, Arjun quit his job to take on his 150-year-old family legacy of Ayurvedic formulations that his grandfather left behind. Dr. Vaidyas repackaged the ancient Indian science of Ayurveda and emerged as India's largest Ayurveda brand online. The brand successfully reached to over 1 million plus consumers across 500 plus cities and 16,500 plus pin codes in India. Arjun was the first Ayurvedic entrepreneur to be featured in the Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia list. Dr. Vaidyas partnered with the USD 4B RP Sanjeev Goenka Group and is now acquired, as I mentioned earlier, by the group. Currently, Arjun leads venture investing for Well Invest in India. It's one of the largest consumer brand focused funds. He is also an active angel investor mentor to brands in India's D2C and e commerce ecosystem. So, welcome, Arjun. Is Arjun joining us soon, Trisha ji?
Yes, he will be joining us in 5 to 10 minutes, but
All right.
yeah.
Sure, never mind. I'll introduce Trisha Rajnivedya. A pleasure to have you, Trisha, on the show. Trisha, prior to her entrepreneurial stint, she graduated from Warwick University, UK, with a BSc in Business Management. She then worked at Goldman Sachs in London from 2012 to 14, and she was in the top quartile all through her stint. In July 2014, Trisha moved back to India and joined Nika as a part of the core team, which at that time was only 20 member team size. Trisha also worked in impact investing at Intellicap until she joined Dr. Vaidya's in 2017. At Dr. Vaidya's, Trisha spearheaded operations, customer service, logistics, and finance, and was instrumental in scaling the brand from 0 to 5,000 orders per day. Outside of work, Trisha is an advisor to football focused NGO Just for Kicks. And post exit with Dr. Vaidyas, she is also an active angel investor, mentor for startups, and an advisor to Global Bees and Trell. So, quite an impressive stint and profile, Trisha. Very, very proud of you, and congratulations on this great achievement, both to you and Arjun. And of course, as a woman, I am extremely proud, to that you have set a great example for a lot of such aspiring women entrepreneurs to follow this path. And we are so glad to have you today on our show. We aim to discuss your journey and how easy or how difficult it is, to follow this dream, this path, and what drove you towards this dream, and so on. So, in conversation today with the dynamic duo of Dr. Vaidyas, I invite our president, Shri Vinod Kumar, to carry on this conversation. Over to you, Vinod sir.
Thank you very much, Sushma ji, and a warm welcome to Trisha. Good to see you here, and I'm sure Arjun will also join us in a while. Sushma ji, you did talk about quite a few things, but a couple of things that you sort of incorrectly mentioned. One was that the business, there was no investment in the business of 100 crores. It was in two trenches, but the first trench and then the second trench in which finally they took the exit from the business. तो पहले तो मैं त्रिशा से बात करूंगा कि त्रिशा, आई मीन सेकंड जनरेशन, ओल्ड बिजनेस, पुराना बिजनेस है, जहां से when you joined it, why did you want to pick up? You guys both were working in separate companies. You were doing well for yourself. So why did you think of joining the father-in-law's business in the first place?
So, firstly, thank you so much for having us, Vinod ji, Sushma ji, and all of you. And thank you, everyone, for listening in. So, actually, it was not the second generation. Arjun was the sixth generation.
Okay.
Yes. And my father in law, Arjun's father, actually did not see eye to eye with his own father, who was a doctor, and started his own luxury jewelry business. So, interestingly, Arjun's grandfather and forefathers before that were all Ayurvedic doctors. Arjun himself had actually got cured of asthma as a child, and it took him time. It took him about 8 to 10 plus years of his grandfather curing him through Ayurveda of asthma. That was his insight into Ayurveda to begin with. He'd grown up going to his grandfather's clinic, seeing 300, 400 patients waiting a day, seeing the difference his grandfather made to people's lives. Honestly, my interaction with Ayurveda came through Dr. Vaidya's, in all honesty. Arjun and I were dating when he started Dr. Vaidya's and decided to take it up. It actually started when it was his father's 50th birthday. And all the employees had come together of his father's business, as well as, unfortunately, his grandfather passed away in 2014. But his grandfather had still left a clinic and a factory because there were patients who would come to take the medicine. So one of his doctor's nurses, who'd been there for about 30 plus years with his grandfather, had also attended this celebration of his dad's birthday. And Arjun gave a very powerful speech at that time about his father. And at the end of this speech, she was like, "You spoke amazingly well about your father, but what about your grandfather's legacy? Who's going to do something about that?" And I think that's the first time it actually made Arjun
Clicked.
rethink exactly of what should we do. So Arjun studied in the US, as Sushma ji mentioned, at Brown. And at that time is when the revolution of yoga was happening. We saw brands like Lululemon take a concept of ours, our Indian heritage and our Indian roots of yoga, and make it $1 billion business, right? I mean, and while that's a moment of pride for India, I feel like it would have been an even better moment of pride if we as a nation, or we as companies had actually taken it. So all these things started playing on his mind, and he was like, "We have to be the forefront to actually take Ayurveda to the globe." He worked at private equity. I worked with an impact investing fund. While we loved what we did and had a lot of experience, I think there was always an itch to do something on their own. And in October 2016 is when Arjun took the plunge and started Dr. Vaidya's. Extremely young, 24 years old at that time. And in all honesty, I was not allowed to join till we got engaged. So in March 2017, we got engaged, and in April, I joined him full time as well.
So when you joined, it was basically not a business. It was more of a practice, if I'm not wrong.
So yes, Dr. Vaidya's was never a brand name. It was his grandfather's name, and that's why he wanted to. I think eventually, when we're thinking of a name, it came into Dr. Vaidya's. Initially, when we started, it was just a clinic that was seeing patients. Arjun had the vision of actually making it a brand name. He had the vision that today, if I go and speak to my friends' parents, grandparents, they may know about Ayurveda. I go and speak to any of my friends, they look at me like Ashwagandha kya hai, Bringraj kya hai, and
Yes,
why, right? Everyone's moving to
absolutely.
such a, you talk about turmeric latte and in a Starbucks, but what about actually haldi that we use and its the benefits for us? So he had this vision of how he wanted Ayurveda to be known to the youth, to be known to an urban consumer at the same time as well, and for Indians to take it out there. So if you see every single one of our Dr. Vaidya's products is proudly Indian on the packaging. Until date,
Yes.
Arjun wears an India band on his hand. It's been, I think, 10 years since he's worn it. So he wanted to not just take his grandfather's legacy, but take Ayurveda, which is an Indian science, and make it popular to the globe. So yeah, when we started, it was just a thought. It was just me, trying to figure it out what we wanted to do next.
So the fact that around the same time we had the pandemic, and so you were left with the one option. Was it a careful, considered view that you would only do it online? It will be a D2C brand.
So interestingly, we started in 2017, right? And before I joined, Arjun had actually tried the offline route as well. I think that was one of our biggest failures. And honestly, every business has failures, right? So I think I'm glad it happened to us early on, in all honesty.
Absolutely, absolutely.
We had a large event, invited distributors from all over. In the first, I think, week after our event, we got about 12 lakhs of purchase orders. Super excited, right? At age 24, you're like, wow, this is amazing. Within a month, we got 9 lakhs of goods returned, right? Managing a sales team of everyone typically older than you, managing them, checking the work. Honestly, in 3 months, we realized offline is just not for us. Made the mistake, learned, no problem, move on in life, right? I had worked at Nika. Nika was my first opening into understanding e-commerce in India. I remember I used to sit with Falguni Nayar and just see her obsessively looking at orders, trying to understand where these orders are coming from. Tier 2 India, Tier 3 India, how are women buying the products, how are men buying, what is the purchasing power. And I saw that value of data that she was getting by these orders. So literally when I joined, Arjun and I had taken the route at this time after, failing in all honesty and offline. He said, okay, let's do online. It's more controlled. I understand it better. Let me try and do it. And I came in and, we had a very honest discussion. Should we go the marketplace route? Should we go our website route? And eventually with the experience in Nike, I was like, no, we need to go our website route. So that's how we started our online journey. We also started with our own website because at this time I don't think D2C was such a buzzword as it is today, in
Sure,
all honesty.
very correct.
It
Yes.
was very new. So we still wanted to understand our customer. We wanted to own that journey. Something as simple as Arjun's grandfather and forefathers never charged for a consultation. They believed as a doctor it was their privilege to actually be able to treat people from all stratas of society. So that's something we kept till the end of when we were there. A doctor consultation was always free. Product pricing always affordable to all stratas of society. So that's how we started our online journey. I think the pandemic has boosted, I think, online sales in general for our country. I think pandemic has made people, my own in-laws, to be honest, we ran an e-commerce business, but they had never placed an order online, did not know what
Online.
paytm
Yes.
was. Now my father-in-law orders at least 5 times a week, I think, from Amazon, complains to customer service if something has gone wrong. So that change, I think, in India of digitization, online e-commerce happened, definitely got accelerated due to the pandemic.
Very
And even
correct. Very correct. Very correct. In fact, one of the things, while you were, taking the brand and all the formulations and all, were you manufacturing yourself, or had you outsourced it out to somebody else?
So sorry, guys. By the way, Arjun is joining. His grandmom's just a bit unwell, so he's actually with her. So apologies about that. He just messaged. So we were very lucky that Arjun's grandfather had such a large demand from his patients that he had set up a factory. Arjun had inherited from his grandfather, great grandfather, over 100 plus FDA approved formulations. We took
Formulations.
those formulations and decided to repackage them in certain more creative ways. So, for example, there was a product that was a liver tonic, a liver protector, help with fatty liver, etc. In his scriptures and notes, which by the way, Arjun had converted to digital formats earlier when he was younger, before his grandfather. There was a whole study about how it also helps with something as simple as a hangover. When we started realizing and reading this, what did we do first? Tried it on ourselves. Tried it amongst us, on our friends, family, people who we know would give us honest feedback as well.
Sure.
Uh, and we repackaged that product to be a hangover pill, for example. There was Chavanprash that his grandfather had created in different forms, put that in a toffee format. So we had a lot of these formulations, in all honesty. We were looking at repackaging them to a much more easy, accessible, and convenient format for the newer consumer.
So essentially, what you did was you set up a website at the outset and said that we are now going to try and do this completely online with people ordering on the website. Did you also look at multiple platforms at that point in time to put in your product?
So we did, not in the beginning. We had a thing in our head that when we hit a 50 orders per day target on our own website, that is when we know we've understood the market, we've understood who our consumer is, and then we can hyperscale that. So that was our focus. We did not look at marketplaces. We focused first only on our website. Initially, we listed on marketplaces through resellers, didn't really pay attention to it. Again, big mistake. Learned the hard way, in all honesty. Once we started understanding the online game, understanding what digital marketing meant, yes, we did list our products on Amazon, Flipkart, 1MG, NetMeds, PharmEasy, where we thought our product is relevant. We didn't focus on it as much
Sure.
till probably towards when the pandemic hit. We used to get a lot of, I would say, ripple effect. So people would maybe see our product online, but maybe they trusted an Amazon or a Flipkart more because it was they were more comfortable with that, and they would go and order on that. So we had this good ripple effect that happened, and then we started focusing probably just little before the pandemic, a quarter before the pandemic, maybe just before we got the award. I remember we started focusing a little on Amazon and realize that okay, Amazon's also a great way not only for us to sell but also acquire new customers. So we did
Acquired,
sell on
yes.
places, but still I would say 80% of our revenue came from our own website.
So it was more like using marketplaces primarily as promotional tools or advertising tools or platforms, and then pushing traffic back to your own website. One of the things that you talked about just a little while ago is about digital marketing. A lot of us entrepreneurs, who are not net savvy, who feel that well, I'm doing pretty okay offline. Would you just guide us? What is this entire online world about, and how easy is it to actually get into this digital marketing mode?
That's fair. We actually, you know what we did after we exited? One of the things Arjun and I did was we took all our learnings as much as possible and actually created a 8-week course on it, because we realized while it's fresh in the head, all the mistakes, all the things we've done right. I get this question a lot actually. I don't think every brand is a digital brand, right? I don't think every brand is an online
Sure.
friendly brand. You need to actually see the unit economics to make sure if it is or if it's not. Is it easy? I don't think any businesses is easy to do in any format, even online. I think the difference, if from my understanding of online versus offline, and I'm not an offline expert, is online is a lot more controlled, right? So with online, I know I can spend, if I have a lakh, I can spend a lakh to get a certain return. What happens in offline typically, I have to put in money and then maybe in some months I will get the return. So that is a difference. So online, even if you're an offline brand and want to try online, it can be done in a very experimental manner. Is it easy? I think now there are so many players come in and so many enablers that it's become easier. in one sense to start the process, but on the other hand, it's become more difficult because there's so much competition, right? My honest view is if you are exploring online, do it. Make sure that the unit economics match, but do it yourself. So maybe you will get an agency to help you with Facebook or Google or listing on Amazon and selling on Amazon. But I genuinely believe it's very important as a founder or a custodian of a brand to spend that time and effort to understand the platform, to understand how it works, right? Arjun and I were obsessed about it. Every Sunday, we would sit and talk to our consumers for feedback. Every week, we were obsessing about how Facebook ads work, how does Amazon work, how are people searching. You have to be obsessed to do it. So, I mean, digital marketing can sound like a scary word, but let's be honest. It's divided into few ways. Performance marketing, that means you're driving traffic towards your own website with the aim to convert. Brand awareness, where you're actually trying to get people to acknowledge and engage with your brand. Third is search engine optimization, which is to organically help people search for your products and brands. And then whatever you do on a marketplace platform. Very broad, but four buckets for you, each of them equally important.
Excellent. So, essentially, in terms of your own experiences, which were the platforms that were really, really working very well for you? Vis-a-vis your brand and your business.
Sure. So, just to give you a little understanding of who our customer was, because I think that will also help a little bit. 87% of our consumers came from outside the top 10 cities in India, right? So think about how deep we've gone, 16,000 pin codes. So think about how deep it's gone in tier 2, tier 3 consumers. For us, vernacular language was a big part as well. In our experience, Facebook, so the Facebook ecosystem of Facebook and Instagram worked really well. That was easiest to scale up in terms of, it's doing well, ROAS is doing well, come. Google, which is a little trickier because in healthcare there are certain rules and regulations and it takes a little more bit more time. But according to me, it gave us the best quality of audience.
Quality,
right?
Sure.
TikTok was there when we were there. That gave our brand a crazy push, which surprised us. We had tried so many other platforms, but TikTok somehow worked. TikTok got banned. Trell was a platform that came in, which was all about content. We realized the amount of awareness we needed to do about Ayurveda was surprising to us. Also, we realized people actually in tier 2, tier 3 cities know much more about Ayurveda than your top 10 cities, right? So, Trell as another platform came to us extremely at the right time, I think, when they launched, because it was a content to commerce platform. So, these are the ones I would focus on.
In terms of getting then the RPG group interested in picking up a small stake at the outset, how did that happen?
So that happened over a while. In all honesty, so Arjun and I both came from investing backgrounds, right? A little bit. We had a personal capital that we had infused into the business, and we were very clear as a couple that there was certain amount of family money that was infused, and that's what we would use. Post that, we trusted ourselves enough to go out and get capital when needed. Um, Mr. Goenka is actually a huge believer and follower of Ayurveda, right? So Suhail at that time, who was heading this division for him, kind of approached us. We had looked at all routes, to be honest, couple of other strategics. We had looked at the VC route as well. And somehow with them, we thought it was the best fit for us and them. In terms of they were strong in offline, we knew we weren't good in offline. So eventually, when the brand wanted to go offline, we knew they would be the right partners to do it. They have great experience that we could leverage across various verticals. That was another thought. And I think the equation, in all honesty, it's like a marriage, right? So everyone always told us you're marrying your investor. So you both have to get along extremely well. I think that worked out well as well. They honestly took not a minority, a majority stake on day one. That was one of the conditions. And it took us honestly a year to kind of come to terms with that and kind of figure out the best, what the business needed, what we needed, all of that. But yeah, I mean, I think it worked out really well. It was too great. I mean, it was great to have them on board, of course. And yeah, we just felt that was the right fit for us and for the business, what the business needed.
You scaled up over a period of 4 years, at quite an abnormal pace. So how did you cope up with that? Because that is one of the issues that most entrepreneurs have. You have orders and then you don't know what to do, and how do you get more people in? How do you train them? How do you create an ecosystem? So okay, we have Arjun also here. Welcome, Arjun.
Hello, hello, hello. I think, yeah, it's tough for
Yeah,
us to.
no,
Okay, yeah, we'll fit.
Okay, okay. So please do tell us.
Do you want to take it or you want me to?
No, go ahead.
So honestly, it was a roller coaster, right? As I mentioned, when we hit the 50 order mark, we knew we had got something right and we needed to scale up. I think the way we did it was by not sleeping, by spending all our time and effort on Dr. Vaidya's, by having an amazing team who were not just employees in all honesty, but actually really believed in the business. So when COVID hit and everything was shut, within a week, Arjun and I, we were getting so many calls from our customers, right? And remember, our customers are typically patients as well. We were getting so many calls and messages from them that we were like, listen, we have to figure out how to get our warehouse open. And we did fall in under the essentials category. So it was both of us. Arjun's brother actually chipped in as well, said, I'm also going to come and help you all. And few people from our team who volunteered during the peak of COVID to come and actually help us fulfill. And I think, for at least 2.5 months, we would sit, pack all the orders ourselves, get all the goods, manage it all. Because we knew at the end of the day, that's what our customer needed. That's something we had to deliver to our customer. Yes, we had issue of supply chain at times. Yes, we had issue of not being able to deliver to the customer at time, and we made mistakes during the way, and we learned it was better to be honest to a consumer if a delay was going to happen. We learned it was better to have experts in place to monitor certain things, right? So Arjun and I also had very divided roles, and we would also fight about it a lot, right? In terms of inventory management to operationally, how do you manage? But honestly, we built a really strong team, which I think helped us scale up.
So now that Arjun is here, Arjun, at the outset when you actually started this entire business and tried to take it offline, in hindsight, what do you think went wrong?
Yeah, look, I think I was really young at that time, right? When I started the business, I was 24 and a half years old. The reason we decided to go offline was because pretty much D2C didn't exist as a term, right? Today we're having these nice conversations about direct to consumer businesses. At that time, I remember
Yes.
telling investors online first, digital only. D2C as a term also didn't exist, right? So we went offline. October 2016, we had this big launch event at Taj Lands End Hotel. We had a great traction. 6 distributors signed up, and then we had 22 sales reps in field. And I remember clocking 10 lakh rupees worth of primary billing in Jan of 2017. And a private equity analyst in me is saying 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 50 lakhs, 1 crore. Building that Excel sheet in my mind, right? So what went wrong? Uh, Firstly, I didn't know what the difference between primary sale, secondary sale, and tertiary sale is. And for all of you, I think very important to know, just because you bill to distributors doesn't mean it's the end of the journey. And so distributors have to bill to retailers. Retailers have to bill to end customers. Once the end customer buys your product from the shelf in a chemist shop with 9,000 SKUs, decides to buy a product, that's when you get paid. And so pretty much 3 months later, 90% of the 10 lakhs of product that we put out in market came back to us as returns. And we got paid almost nothing, right? And why did we get paid almost nothing, right? So look, it was a big failure for me. I was a good student, went to a good college, had a great job out of college. And so I'd never seen failure like this. But when I reflected, what was the reason for the failure really? I was really young. I did not know offline at all. Right? So I made these assumptions on primary sales equals to sales. I was up against really
Sure.
large. I was up against really, really large incumbents, right? Dabur, Imami, Patanjali, Zandu, Himalaya, really large businesses who've been around in the offline channel for a really long time. I didn't have the money to fight or play against them, right? I couldn't take newspaper ads, TV ads, etc. All of that. And so I couldn't build the offtake. I couldn't get Vinod to go to the store and pick up my product.
Sure.
And so I
Sure.
didn't really have the right to win, right? What was my right to win there? Nothing. Other than some unique products, etc., all of that. And that's when actually I reflected, we reflected. Trisha was my girlfriend at the time. She had worked at Nika, and then we got engaged and she joined the business and we pivoted to online only, what you call D2C now.
So, when you guys looked at, okay, now we are going to go online, after, now that you've exited the business, how different do you find it is for an entrepreneur to position his or her business online vis-a-vis this offline bit? And what are the things that you need to do differently?
Look, Vinod, we teach a course on D2C, right? So after we
Yes,
exit,
yes, I know she did
we
talk about
wrote
it.
a playbook, and a lot of people who've joined our course actually are offline entrepreneurs who want to move their business online, right? I fundamentally believe that while the products may be the same, the skill set and the way you run the business is fundamentally different, right? So I would say each of them has its own technicalities, skill sets, and requirements, right? So as an online entrepreneur or as a D2C entrepreneur, you have to know very well what is your product, what is your brand. That's standard, right, across the board. How to build a conversion friendly website. What are your customer acquisition and marketing channels? Be ace at Facebook marketing, Google marketing, and Facebook includes Instagram, Google includes YouTube. Understand your marketplaces and your strategy between your own website versus your marketplaces. Spend a lot of time on operations and logistics to ensure a smooth fulfillment experience for your customer. Then your secret sauce as a D2C entrepreneur, which you don't have in offline, is retention. So what do I have as a D2C entrepreneur that I won't have as an offline focused entrepreneur is data, right? I get your phone number, address, email address, and what product you have bought. So I can
Yes.
cross sell you, upsell you, and resell you. That's the secret sauce of D2C that has to be unlocked. And then from there, once you get these things into place, you can actually scale exponentially without adding much more resources. So basically, with a head office team of 70 people, we were doing 5,000 orders a day, 2 million plus transacting customers across 16,500 pin codes. Think about reaching 16,500 pin codes through offline. It would take a lot of resources to get there, right? So I think the
Very
thought
correct.
process fundamentally is very different. There's a lot of agility, nimbleness in online business, but there is also a lot of technicals. And the ecosystem today, there is one big positive and one big sort of challenge today. The positive is the number of transacting customers over the last 18 to 24 months has increased exponentially given COVID, right? So my father, who never ever bought online, now buys online. But with that, the challenge is competition has significantly increased, right? And so you can't not know these technicalities and operate a business. When we started 2017, 2018, like when we started scaling in 2017, 2018, it took a year for us to figure these things out. You don't have that year today. You don't have that kind of
Very
time.
correct. Very correct. In fact, the other thing that I wanted to ask you, you talked about this earlier with the sort of brands that were already there in the offline space, including Dabur, very very well known brands. How did you compete with them? Because some of these brands are also in the online space, and create a completely new brand. Bring it out to the public, especially to 2 tier, 3 tier cities. How did that go, and how did you do that part of it?
So Vinod, I think a lot of people used to ask us while we were building Dr. Vaidya's, is Patanjali our competition, right? And I would say, look here, like I can sort of beat my chest and say Patanjali is my competition. That's my aspiration. I did not, let's be honest, I didn't build a 10,000 crore revenue business. I did a decent job, but I had some way to go, right? So accepting where you are in relation to where everybody else is. Now, what we said was, and my dad used to say this as well while we were growing up, I don't care if you join my business or not. Just be the best at what you do, but ensure you do one thing, right? So if you're selling, he used to keep saying, if you're selling Singh Chana on the street as well, I want you to ensure the best Singh Chana sell on the street. And so what did Dr. Vaidya decide? Dr. Vaidya said, look, we're a new age Ayurvedic products brand that makes an ancient science of Ayurveda appealing and accessible to modern consumers through the power of digital, right? So that was our focus area. And so what did we start with? We said, hey, like November 2017, we are going to build a website business so that we get data of customers, can engage with customers, give them a free consultation on our website. What my dada did in his clinic, we do that through our website and ensure that with this, we provide high quality Ayurvedic products and care at the touch of people's fingertips. Nobody was able to provide this integrated, fundamental, unique experience. What did this allow us? It allowed us to reach from Mizoram to Muzaffarnagar, from Anantnag to Trichy, and give these customers who don't have an Ayurvedic doctor when they walk down access to this Ayurvedic doctor and a trustworthy set of care and products available to them. Did we do everything right? Or did we do everything? No, we didn't. Right. So did Dr. Vedya's do offline? Did Dr. Vedya's do institutional sales? Did Dr. Vedya's excel in exports? We had just started exports. No. But in the online space, I can tell you, we were definitely one of the best executors, if not the best executors. And so we chose the battle we wanted to fight rather than playing every fight or being a jack of all trades. But on our website, I remember Vinod going to a meeting with Amazon in Bangalore and telling me, hey, by the way, when barely doing any sales on Amazon, we're doing like 10, 20 orders a day. But let me tell you, my website does 500 orders a day. And they were shocked. They were like, website, one brand, 500 orders. This is amazing. Let's push you on Amazon.
I agree. In fact, it was a shocker for most of us because that's how most of our websites are. We have every one of us has websites, but we are unable to get traction on them. So we generally, what we do is we use marketplaces, drive traffic there somehow or the other. But the fact that you did talk about this, that you made consultation a big part of this entire business model, and that is what actually pushed people to come to your website, which is not something that they would have had access to on Amazon or on Flipkart or any of the other platforms. So that was a very, very big point there. One of the other things that happened, you finally took a decision that I'm going to divest further and I'm going to exit from the business. That might be a very, very big decision because for Indian entrepreneurs, normally, first of all, you don't tend to part away with equity in the first place because you always have this fear that if today I'm going to part with 25, 30, 40% of equity, I lose my company and I lose the entire work that I've done throughout my life. And then there's this fear that I don't know what I'm going to do after this. I'm not sure. And so most people try to hold on to not actually getting in an investor on board, rather than that going through the debt route and all that. What is your take on all that?
Firstly, I'm an investor and so is my wife now. So we will push the reason to get investors. But I think I've answered this question 300 to 400 times now. So maybe I'll let Trisha answer.
No, go for it.
No, go for it.
So honestly,
I love how both of you, allow space to each other. You go ahead, you go ahead.
It's a secret of a happy marriage.
6 years. How many years you married? 6 years, right?
4 in February.
Yeah, okay. 4 in February. Okay,
but
cool.
dating since 7 years. Dating since
yes, 7 years. Okay, cool.
So honestly, I think Arjun's right. We've been asked this question about 100 times plus, and I think the answer may differ for every single other person in the situation. Like I mentioned earlier, when we were exploring fundraising to get in a strategic, that's what we felt that the business needed. We felt RP Sanjeev Goenka Group was a great partner to have, the right partner for us, and what our vision was for the business. I think when the pandemic hit, Ayurveda also did accelerate, and
yes,
we did see the boom as well. When the time came or the offer came to actually exit the business, Arjun and I looked back and kind of thought that, listen, I just about turned 30. He was under 30 still, and saying at, reaching this sort of scale at 30 is something we were comfortable with, right? Yes, people say, why didn't you wait on another 5 years? You could have made so much more, or your brand could have reached somewhere. There's no right answer. For us, it was the right decision. For us, we felt comfortable. We were happy with what we had done. Could we have done more? I'm sure, right? But I think personally, both of us were comfortable with the decision. We were comfortable with the value. We were comfortable with what we had achieved, and were happy to move to the next phase. I don't think we really ever had that worry about what next, because I think it took us some time to get over just Dr. Vaidya's as a whole. And I think we knew we would do something else, right? I don't think we are the kind of people who would have just been like, okay, we're done. So I don't think that was a worry. We were always
But we
anxious
weren't
to know.
stressed. We weren't
We
stressed.
weren't stressed about it. Yeah. Actually, our
Sure.
plan was to take 6 months off, travel, and come up with the next business. That was our
But
actual
second
initial
wave
plan.
stopped that. So we unfortunately.
But
I
yeah, I
can
don't
I
think
can understand.
maybe it's not a direct answer, but I think it was just that we were comfortable with it at that time.
I think it's a very personal decision, right?
Yeah.
An exit is a very personal
Yes.
decision. One thing I will say though, since we've had the exit, we've had, I would say close to 100 founders reach out to us between the two of us saying, is it the right time? Because lots of brands getting acquired or getting offers to be acquired now, right? Uh, what I would say is never build a business to exit.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, I'm building this business, Zomato will buy me, or Nika will buy me, or Paytm will buy me. No, don't build a business to exit. Build a high quality business. Various options will come up for you. Exit could be one of them, but always build a business which is high quality.
Excellent. Excellent. I got to get Sushmaji back in. Sushmaji, are you there? Yes. Yes,
Yes, I
Sushmaji.
am.
So
Hello,
I've
hello.
got to get you in.
Hi.
Arjun is also here. So I think you're also needing to take some questions from the audience. I think there's quite a few questions which have come in. There are more than 800 people watching us right now. So
Wow,
Wow.
wow, 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 wow.
Yeah, so any further advice? I mean, yeah, the advice that you gave was absolutely wonderful, that build your business to not exit but build a high quality business. But other than that, is there any more advice you would like to give to all these 800 plus viewers who have joined us, watching you here right now on YouTube and LinkedIn? And any more advice who aim to strike it big, just like you did?
Yeah, I think look, number one, or overarching advice is there is no better time in the Indian startup ecosystem than now. I've been a part of this ecosystem for 6 years. First with Dr. Vedas, now as an investor in the ecosystem. I have never ever seen an ecosystem as vibrant as this, quality of founders as vibrant as this, investors who are as excited as this, and maturity of products, businesses, and scale, right? So there's no better time to start than now. Three pieces of advice that we like to give to entrepreneurs. Number one, it looks really rosy from the outside, right? Unicorns, IPOs, valuations, funding, investments. But startup is a roller coaster. You have as many downs as you have ups. And so fighting failure with grit, resilience, and patience, that's really, really important advice, number one. Advice number two, look, we were really young when we started our company. And so exuberance of youth made us believe we could do everything on our own. And so if you ask me, one of the mistakes we made is we didn't build a strong team early on. We did eventually, but not enough investment into team early on. And so you can't do it alone, and you have to build an enabled team early on to be able to excel and win. And the last thing is, I hear a lot of people talk about entrepreneurship as side hustle. I'll continue my job. I'll do this on nights and weekends. Then this will become big. Then I'll leave my job.
Yes.
Look, circumstances are challenging, and so it's not as easy. But it wasn't so easy for me to quit my high-paying private equity job and take this leap, right? But until you take that leap, you can't dedicate your full attention to something, and also you've not really taken the risk then, right? And I guess entrepreneurship is all about that. So for me, you want to build something highly scalable. Look, I have a hobby. I run a podcast. I do that on weekends. That's a nice hobby that I have, and it stays a hobby, right?
Yeah.
But startup is not a part-time thing.
And just to add to that, I think another part that people at times forget is focusing completely on your customer, right? Listening
Yes.
to who your customer is, building not a brand for yourself, but actually building a brand for the customer. Keep taking their insights, keep listening to the feedback. If they are saying they're not happy with the product, there is something wrong in the product,
Yes.
right? Some of our top sellers, our best sellers, actually evolved or kind of came out from customer insights and customer feedback, and therefore they were launched. So I mean, every single, we've spoken to Wakefit, Licious, any of the founders, they all will also tell you, take that time as founders and weekly listen as a founder, you should be listening to what your consumer has to say.
No, I absolutely agree with both of you. And I believe that in the present times, there is no bigger classroom than the e-marketplace or a e-commerce platform, because that teaches a business so much more. You can read reviews, you can learn about competition, you know about what products work, what don't. It brings you so much more closer to your customers, and their feedback, you can, it's the feedback is also so instant with review mechanisms and all. So of course, I mean, you can do so much more. And also, I mean, it's great to hear from Arjun that he believes that the startup ecosystem is very, very conducive in this country. But one last question to Arjun and Trisha. In fact, we missed your presence last time, Arjun, when I had invited you to a budget deliberation. I think the timing didn't match for some reason. And here's one last question to you. You did say that the ecosystem is good, and it does help. But still, I would believe, I would like to understand from you, how is it that you can make this ecosystem even more conducive, and ease of doing business, how it can be more better and more robust for new startups and more young entrepreneurs. You keep saying I was young, I was, and you're still young, and I'm in fact waiting that you might float a couple of new companies. So I wish you well for that. But for new entrepreneurs, what is it that you would tell the policymakers or the ecosystem about creating a much more robust ease of doing business system?
Look, I'll try to take this from really the outside first, right? And really the outside was that doctor engineer is the sort of preferred profession.
Yes.
And that's in sort of folklore in India, right? And even my mom used to sometimes say, neither of you is a doctor, engineer, or CA. Like, I'd have two sons, and neither of them did this, right? So I think that's gone away, and or not gone away, but startups, I would say, are now mainstream and respected, right? So I think from a macro perspective, we now have a show called Shark Tank on prime time, right? And if you go on Sony Live, you'll see it right next to sports as an important thing. From an ecosystem perspective, I think we've come some way over the last 6 years. But my call is to founders, right? To founders, to experienced professionals, to all of us who have some value to give. There is somebody you can help, right? You know something more than somebody else. Lend a hand out and give back without expecting in return. I give Thursdays 1 to 7, Saturdays 1 to 7 since April 2021, no strings attached, free for any founder, right? So you reach out to me on LinkedIn, I'll send you a calendar link, you book a 25-minute slot for me. I've done 1,000 conversations like this since I've exited my business. If each of us can spend time like this and give back, we'll create a really, really vibrant ecosystem. From a government perspective, look, I think that Prime Minister Modi is giving startups national startup awards. We have a national startup day. We're taking the steps in the right direction for sure. But I think we need to understand much more about problems startups are facing and help in a sort of larger sense. But look, like Ayurveda, right? We've taken more steps in the right direction than we ever have since independent India over the last 5 years. So good times.
Thank you. I'll just direct one or two questions. We still have about 4 minutes. So, we have one question. In this COVID pandemic, there are thousands of Ayurvedic brands everywhere and cutthroat competition. How did you survive? And what is it that made you different from your competitors? You have answered it, but still, if you want to be like more specific to this.
Yeah, so look, I think I totally agree with this, right? The competition of Ayurvedic brands has increased significantly, and I think like I've got like tens of entrepreneurs reaching out to me saying we saw the Dr. Vaidya story, we want to start something new, and there's a lot of brands, right? So competition is higher than it's ever been in online Ayurveda, and every time I go on Amazon, I learn about new brands and new products like I've never seen before. I think core brand ethos was one thing which we were very strict with. So if you see this band, right, I wear this on my hand. It's the Indian flag. I've been wearing it for the last 10 years on my hand. We had three core sort of philosophies or qualities at Dr. Vaidya's. 150 years of legacy. You can't replicate that, whoever you are. Proudly Indian and New Age Ayurveda. New Age Ayurveda maybe other brands can do, but proudly Indian and 150 years of legacy, you don't see brands. You buy a Dr. Vaidya's product today, you'll see proudly Indian written on the front and center of every single product. And so our ethos, our marketing, our strategy, it all helped us. The other thing which we had, Sushma ji, which other brands didn't have, is first mover advantage. So we saw the online opportunity much before other people. And so by the time other people came in, Dr. Vaidya's was already a large brand, right? And so the online ecosystem specifically, right, we already have large number of transacting customers, large number of reviews on platforms, large amount of brand recall. So that allowed us to sort of have somewhat of a head start, right? We obviously can't be complacent, but these are the things that helped us.
And I think we were also an extremely accessible brand.
Yes, very good.
To us during the pandemic, get product, we were accessible to them.
One more question. What was your exit strategy after achieving your numbers? Or what's your exit strategy after achieving your numbers? That's some question, I think.
Yeah, I see that. And he shares my last name, Pratik Vaidya.
Vaidya, yeah.
So look, no exit strategy, right? I said it earlier. Don't build a business to exit. If it comes along as an opportunity, assess that opportunity. But there was no strategy as such that I will reach here, then I will sell, or I will reach there and then I will sell. No strategy as such.
Okay. Last question. I'm planning to start a new online furniture venture. How can I start a D2C?
Is that the question? I want to grow my business. Okay.
I'm planning to start an online venture, furniture venture. How can I start a D2C?
So I think your number one thing, Pooja, thank you for asking the question, is to see, is your product viable for online, right? Do the unit economics, check, is the product actually viable for online? If it is, yes, then go about figuring out who your customer is, who your target market is, who do you want to reach to? What is your brand standing for? What is your brand going to be built for? How will you build brand awareness? What is your product mode? How do you stand as a differentiator? What do you have to offer that you think other players out there may not be able to offer? And maybe there are multiple players also, but still, can you actually get a pie of that market share? I mean, we live in a country, I think, which is large enough to have multiple players across categories as well. So, but what can you offer to a consumer that you'd want them to buy? So I think initially just to start by figuring out, is your furniture brand viable for online?
Great. So it was great having you, Arjun and Trisha, on our show. Very interesting discussion and very inspiring. We wish you more success, more power, and we look forward to having more such ventures from your team. And of course, at India SME Forum, we have 230 mentors, who mentor our members at various points in time and who are from different fields of expertise. We would love to have you guys also as a part of our mentoring panel. So, whenever we have a set of people who are keen on knowing about doing business online, setting up a new venture, getting venture fund, exiting, strategy, digital marketing, and I mean so many wonderful things that you have, done with your business and leading by example. We would love to have you talk to many of our entrepreneurs in future. So with that, once again, very, very thankful, grateful to have you guys on our show. I'm sure all our entrepreneurs, our members who've tuned in for this show today enjoyed the discussion with you. Any concluding remarks from you, Vinod sir?
No, I think I loved it. The fact that both of them are investors, they understand how to move forward. They took the right steps. They learned from standing on their feet, and that is the most important part. An entrepreneur cannot give up, no matter whatever you face, failures. It's all part of the learning process. And I'm very, very sure this is just the beginning. I'm sure both Trisha and Arjun have their hands on a little bit of capital now. So the next one is going to be much, much, much bigger. So I'm very sure about that, and we will look forward to that. Fingers crossed. So thank you very much, guys.
Just one thing from our end. Big thank you, Vinod ji, Sushma ji, and the entire team at India SME Forum for inviting us here, but also for doing what you do for small and medium businesses in India, because small and medium businesses are the real driving force, the real engine of society in India. And so, thank you for being a support system for so many amazing entrepreneurs.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And God bless. Keep safe. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Moving on, I would like to mention to our viewers and entrepreneurs here about India SME Forum's India Exports Initiative. I would urge our members to go and visit indiaexports.com portal, which is mainly created for giving out details about what is the kind of export potential basis, the HSN codes of products which are being exported by MSMEs, which countries buy them, what kind of quality, certification, and other details that you need to look into while exporting it for the first time, and what kind of support you need for any kind of documentation, shipping, certificate of origin, and other details when you start planning to become an exporter. Mind you, the details on indiaexports.com are available in 9 different languages, including English. I urge you all to please go register on indiaexports.com today itself if you are planning to export, and stay tuned for our different sectoral webinars and programs in which we talk about how you can go about exporting in a specific product belonging to a specific industry sector. For the webinar calendar, please visit our website www.indiaexports. Exports is without the E, so it is indiaexports.com. Thank you very much for joining, and I would request my team to play a short video on the indiaexports.com initiative.